ever felt a strange chill in the air when someone walks in, or noticed a subtle shift in conversation when you approach? It is that unsettling feeling that something isn't quite right, even when everyone is smiling. As we get older, our social circles might shrink, and the bonds we have become even more precious. So, when you sense that someone, perhaps someone you thought was a friend, holds a secret resentment towards you, it can be deeply painful and confusing. It chips away at your peace of mind and makes you question everything. But what if there were clear, observable signs that could help you understand what is truly happening? What if a brilliant mind like Carl Jung, with his profound understanding of human nature, could illuminate these hidden dynamics in this video? We are going to explore 7 subtle, often overlooked signs that someone might secretly harbor negative feelings towards you, especially as we navigate the later chapters of life. We will dive into Carl Jung's powerful insights to understand the psychology behind these behaviors, helping you protect your peace and navigate these delicate situations with wisdom and grace. Stay with me until the very end, because I have a crucial insight that might just surprise you and change how you view these relationships forever. Let us begin with the first sign, one that often creeps in almost unnoticed. This is the subtle dismissal. This is not overt rudeness. It is far more insidious. Imagine sharing a story about a trip you just took, full of wonderful details and personal triumphs. Someone who secretly dislikes you might respond with a quick, "Oh, that is nice," and immediately change the subject. Or perhaps even worse, interject with a story about their own, seemingly more impressive experience, completely sidelining yours. They consistently downplay your achievements, ideas, or even your very presence. It could be a suggestion you make in a group discussion that gets ignored, only to be praised when someone else echoes it moments later. Or perhaps you share a concern, and they brush it off as insignificant, as if your feelings do not quite measure up. Carl Jung spoke extensively about the shadow, the unconscious parts of ourselves that we do not acknowledge or accept. Often, when someone dismisses you, they might be projecting their own unacknowledged inadequacies or resentments onto you. Your success, your happiness, or even your very being might trigger something within them, perhaps a feeling of stagnation in their own life, or regret over paths not taken. They cannot bear to see you shine, not because of you, but because it highlights something they struggle with internally. Their dismissal is not about your worth, it is about their discomfort with themselves. Think of Helen, a vibrant woman in her late 70s. She excitedly told her bridge group about starting a watercolor class, something she had dreamed of for years. One member, Margaret, immediately interjected, "Oh, I tried that years ago. It is quite fiddly. I preferred pottery. Much more satisfying." Helen felt her enthusiasm deflate. Margaret was not directly rude, but her comment subtly dismissed Helen's new venture, hinting that it was less significant or enjoyable than her own past pursuit. This was not an isolated incident. Margaret often found ways to subtly undermine Helen's joy or achievements. How do you handle this? The key is not to internalize it. Recognize that their dismissal is often a reflection of their own internal landscape, not a judgment on your value. You can gently redirect the conversation back to yourself. "Yes, it can be fiddly, but I am really enjoying the colors right now." Or, if it is a pattern, you might choose to share less personal information with that person, protecting your emotional energy. Understanding this helps you create a healthy distance without absorbing their negativity. It is about self-preservation, recognizing that not every interaction needs to be an open book. Now, let us consider the second sign, the backhanded compliment. This sign is a masterclass in subtle aggression. It is the compliment that stings, the praise that is actually a thinly veiled insult. Someone might say, "You look so good for your age, I mean. Considering." Or, "That is a very brave outfit choice." The words sound positive, but the tone, the follow-up, or the context completely undermine the supposed compliment. It is designed to make you feel unsure, to plant a seed of doubt, rather than genuinely uplift you. They want to appear polite, even kind, while secretly delivering a jab. It is a way for them to express their negative feelings without actually having to confront them or admit them. They maintain a facade of pleasantness. But their true feelings leak out through these veiled attacks. This ties into Jung's concept of the persona, the mask we wear for the world. Someone giving a backhanded compliment is struggling to reconcile their inner negative feelings with their desire to appear polite or socially acceptable. The hatred is not direct. It is projected through passive-aggressive remarks because their shadow side, the part that feels envious or resentful, is too uncomfortable to express openly. They are not brave enough to be honest about their feelings, so they resort to these subtle digs. It is a sign of their own internal conflict, their inability to integrate their shadow, and their fear of confronting their true emotions. Consider Arthur, who had recently moved into a retirement community. He proudly showed his new neighbor, Bernard, a handcrafted birdhouse he had spent weeks building. Bernard smiled. "Oh, that is really rustic. Arthur, you certainly have a knack for getting things done, even if they are not quite polished." Arthur initially felt pleased, then confused, and finally, a prickle of irritation. The word rustic used with that tone, and the not quite polished completely undercut his pride. Bernard maintained a friendly demeanor, yet his words left Arthur feeling diminished. When faced with a backhanded compliment, you have a few options. You can simply respond with a neutral, "Thank you," and change the subject, refusing to engage with the hidden insult. Or, if you feel up to it, you can politely ask for clarification. "What exactly do you mean by rustic?" This often puts the ball back in their court and can make them uncomfortable, forcing them to either explain their rudeness or retract. The important thing is not to let their veiled negativity take root in your mind. Do not spend time dissecting their words, trying to find a positive interpretation. Trust your gut feeling. If it felt like a jab, it probably was. Protecting your mental space from these subtle aggressions is paramount. These first two signs are often the earliest indicators, subtle whispers that something is not quite right. Now, let us look at another common behavior that can reveal deeper levels of secret resentment. Something that often feels like you are constantly being weighed and found wanting. This is the constant comparison. Unfavorably to you. This is particularly damaging. Someone who secretly dislikes you will frequently bring up how someone else is seemingly better, more accomplished, or simply superior to you, often in areas where you might excel or feel vulnerable. It is a pattern, not a casual observation. They might say, "Oh, Mary is such a wonderful cook. Her casseroles are just legendary," implying you fall short, without directly saying it. Or, "Remember John? He just got back from his 4th cruise this year." Some people really know how to enjoy retirement, do not they, when they know you have been saving for a modest trip? It is designed to make you feel inadequate, to highlight your perceived shortcomings by constantly measuring you against an idealized standard. They want to diminish your light by contrasting it with someone else's exaggerated glow. Carl Jung explored envy as a powerful emotion, often rooted in an individual's own feelings of inadequacy or lack. When someone constantly compares you unfavorably to others, they are likely projecting their own unfulfilled desires, their regrets, or their sense of being less than onto you. They may envy aspects of your life, your peace, your relationships, your vitality, and rather than confront their own envy, they try to pull you down. This behavior is a desperate attempt to elevate themselves, even if only in their own minds. By diminishing you, it is a manifestation of their own shadow, a refusal to acknowledge their feelings of inferiority or discontent. They cannot celebrate you because it makes them confront what they feel they lack. Eleanor, who prided herself on her meticulously kept garden, often had her neighbor, Doris, drop by. Doris would admire Eleanor's roses, but then quickly add, "Oh, Mrs. Henderson down the street. Her hydrangeas are absolutely breathtaking this year." Or, if Eleanor mentioned a small community award, Doris would respond, "Yes, that is lovely. Reminds me of when my nephew won that national award for his volunteer work." Now that was something. Eleanor started to dread Doris's visits, feeling a constant pressure to measure up. When faced with constant unfavorable comparisons, Recognize that this person is likely struggling with their own inner demons. You can choose to disengage from the comparison game entirely. A simple, "That is nice for them," or "Everyone has their own unique strengths," can be enough. Do not feel the need to defend yourself. Your worth is not determined by how you measure up against someone else in their eyes. Focus on your own journey, your own joys, and your own growth. By refusing to engage, you starve their negativity of the attention it craves and protect your self-esteem. Next, we have the accidental exclusion. This sign is painful because it often targets our fundamental human need for belonging. You find yourself consistently being left out of plans, conversations, or even vital information that others readily receive. It is rarely overtly malicious. Instead, it is often explained away as an oversight. "Oh, we thought you knew," or "It must have slipped my mind to tell you." Yet, it happens repeatedly. Perhaps a group outing is planned right in front of you, and you are the only one not explicitly invited. Or important news is shared with everyone but you, causing you to feel out of the loop and isolated. This is not just forgetfulness. It is a pattern designed to subtly marginalize you, to make you feel like an outsider without ever having to openly express dislike. They want to create distance without having to confront their feelings or your presence directly. This behavior touches upon the concept of the shadow again, particularly the unacknowledged desire to harm or exclude. The person is acting on a subtle hostility they are unwilling to admit, even to themselves. It could also relate to the collective unconscious, a primal desire to maintain group cohesion by ostracizing perceived unwanted elements, even if that threat is only in their own mind. By excluding you, they reinforce their own position within the group and subtly diminish yours, all while maintaining a veneer of innocence. It is a passive-aggressive way of communicating disdain and a desire for you to simply disappear from their circle without them having to say a word. Sarah was a regular at the weekly community coffee morning. She noticed that often plans for lunch or a special outing would be made right there. Yet she was never directly included in the invitation, even if she was sitting right next to the person extending the invitation. When she later asked, she would be met with, "Oh, we just assumed you would not be interested," or "It was just a last-minute thing." This happened so often that Sarah began to feel increasingly alienated, doubting her own social skills. When you notice a pattern of accidental exclusion, acknowledge the hurt, but do not blame yourself. You can gently, directly ask, "I noticed you were planning X. Was I meant to be included?" This might put them on the spot. Or, if the pattern persists and causes you significant distress, it might be a sign to reevaluate your investment in that relationship or group. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to distance yourself from those who subtly diminish you and seek out company where you feel genuinely welcomed and valued. Your energy is precious, especially as you get older, and it is important to direct it towards people who uplift you. Moving on, let us talk about the feigned forgetfulness or ignorance. This sign is incredibly frustrating because it makes you doubt yourself. Someone who secretly dislikes you might consistently forget important things you have told them, your preferences, or commitments. This is not just ordinary forgetfulness that comes with age. It is specific and often happens when remembering would be beneficial to you or inconvenient for them. You might tell them about a significant appointment, and they forget to remind you or show up if they promise to help. You mention a dietary preference, and they forget it every time you share a meal. Or they forget conversations you had, or agreements you made, especially if it means the bunto dos sontor. Doretoins have to follow through on something they do not want to do. It is a subtle form of disrespect, a way of undermining your importance and making you feel unheard and unseen. It signals that your words and needs do not matter enough to be retained. This can be linked to Jung's concept of the inferior function, where certain aspects of a person's personality are underdeveloped or repressed. In this case, it is not a true inability to remember, but an unconscious, or sometimes conscious, choice to disregard what relates to you. It is a manifestation of passive aggression, a way to exert control or express contempt without overt confrontation. by forgetting. They avoid responsibility and subtly communicate their disdain. It is a way for their shadow to manifest as disregard. They are not giving you the attention or respect that remembering would entail. And this deliberate lapse is a quiet form of rejection. Robert relied on his friend, David, for a ride to their weekly golf game. Robert would always confirm the time, but David would frequently forget the exact time, showing up late or sometimes even claiming he thought the game was canceled, leaving Robert scrambling. This happened despite Robert sending reminders. David would always apologize profusely, blaming his terrible memory. But the pattern was clear. His forgetfulness consistently inconvenienced Robert, while he seemed to remember everything important to himself. When you encounter feigned forgetfulness, try not to get drawn into their game. You can try confirming things in writing, a quick text or email. If it is important, creating a record. But more importantly, observe the pattern. If their forgetfulness only seems to affect you, or consistently inconveniences you, it is not about their memory, it is about their attitude. You might need to adjust your expectations of this person or rely less on them. Do not let their deliberate forgetfulness erode your trust in your own memory or perceptions. Protect your peace by recognizing that this behavior is a quiet refusal to prioritize you. We have explored how subtle words and actions can betray hidden feelings, but sometimes the signs are less about what they do and more about how they are around you, even when they are trying their hardest to appear agreeable. Now, for our sixth sign. The overly sweet, insincere demeanor. This sign is perhaps the most disorienting because it directly contradicts how someone is acting. They are excessively polite, saccharine, and perhaps even overly complimentary in a way that feels unnatural or forced. They might shower you with compliments, offer excessive help, or agree with everything you say. But you feel an underlying coldness, an insincerity that just does not sit right. Your intuition screams that something is off. There is a forced quality to their pleasantness, a stiffness in their smile, or a lack of genuine warmth in their eyes. This is not true kindness. It is a performance. They are putting on a show to hide their true feelings of resentment or dislike, often because they want to avoid conflict, maintain appearances, or perhaps even gather information about you to use later. It is a mask of cordiality that, paradoxically, makes you feel less safe, not more. This is a textbook example of the persona at work, but in an extreme and unhealthy way. The persona is the social mask we wear, the way we present ourselves to the world. When someone secretly dislikes you, they may inflate their persona of friendliness to an almost absurd degree, precisely to hide the shadow feelings they harbor. The excessive sweetness is a defense mechanism, a way to prevent their true, negative emotions from surfacing. They are so uncomfortable with their own feelings of secret hatred that they overcompensate with an artificial display of affection. This creates a dissonance for you, the receiver, because your gut instinct tells you one thing, while their outward behavior says another. It is their internal conflict manifesting as an inauthentic interaction, and it is a heavy burden for them to maintain. Maria had a new neighbor, Carol, who was effusively friendly. Every time Maria saw Carol, Carol would gush about how wonderful Maria's garden looked, how stylish her outfit was, or how brilliant her ideas were at the community meeting. Yet, Maria felt a peculiar chill. Carol's eyes did not quite match her smile, and there was a subtle stiffness in her posture. Maria later overheard Carol gossiping about other neighbors with a sharp tongue, and it solidified her intuition. Carol's sweetness was a carefully constructed facade, hiding a less pleasant reality. Trust your intuition. If someone's sweetness feels off, it probably is. You do not need to confront them directly or call out their insincerity. Instead, respond politely, but keep your emotional distance. Do not share deeply personal information with them, and do not allow yourself to be manipulated by their overly saccharine approach. Protect your emotional space by recognizing their behavior as a reflection of their internal struggles, not a genuine connection. It is perfectly fine to be civil without being intimate. Finally, we arrive at perhaps the most subtle, yet often the most telling sign, the shift in energy or atmosphere. When you enter, this bypasses words entirely and goes straight to the feeling in the room. You walk into a room, a gathering, or join a conversation, and the entire atmosphere subtly shifts. Laughter might quieten, conversations might suddenly stop or become stiff, or body language might subtly close off. People might glance at each other conspiratorially, or their posture might become less relaxed. It is not always an immediate, dramatic silence. Sometimes it is just a loss of ease, a slight tension that was not there a moment before. This is not your imagination. People who secretly dislike you, or who are influenced by someone who does, often unconsciously react to your presence. Their discomfort or veiled hostility subtly permeates the space. And you, being attuned, pick up on it. It is the elephant in the room that no one names, but everyone feels. This sign speaks to the deep, intuitive level of human interaction that Jung often explored. The collective unconscious and the concept of synchronicity where seemingly unrelated events are meaningfully connected. When a negative energy shift occurs, it could be a manifestation of shared, unexpressed dislike, or the palpable tension from someone's shadow being projected onto you, subtly affecting others. It is also about what Jung called complexes, emotionally charged groups of ideas or images. If someone has a complex about you, for example, you trigger their envy or insecurity, their very presence will alter the energetic field around them. And you, as the object of this complex, will feel it. It is a very raw, often unconscious, reaction to your presence that they might not even be fully aware they are displaying. But it speaks volumes. It is the unsaid truth bubbling to the surface through nonverbal cues. Old Mr. Davies loved his daily visits to the local pub for a quiet pint and a chat with the regulars. However, whenever a certain former colleague, Mr. Jenkins, entered the pub, the easy banter would often die down, and a slight awkwardness would fill the air. Mr. Jenkins would nod curtly at Mr. Davies, but his eyes would hold a distant, almost cold look, and the other regulars would suddenly find reasons to look away or become engrossed in their drinks. Mr. Davies could not put his finger on it, but the warmth would vanish, leaving a subtle chill until Mr. Jenkins departed. This is where trusting your intuition is paramount. If you consistently feel a shift in atmosphere when you enter a space, observe it without judgment. Do not immediately assume it is about you. However, if this feeling is specific to certain individuals, or if it happens repeatedly in a particular group, it is a valuable piece of information. You do not need to fix it or confront it. Simply acknowledge it. You have the power to decide how much of your precious time and energy you expose to such environments. Sometimes, the wisest choice is to limit your interaction with those who subtly drain your energy or disrupt your peace. Seek environments and people where you feel light, welcomed, and genuinely at ease. Your peace of mind in your later years is invaluable, and you have every right to protect it. So, we have explored these 7 powerful signs: the subtle dismissal, backhanded compliments, constant unfavorable comparisons, accidental exclusions, feigned forgetfulness, overly sweet demeanor, and that undeniable shift in atmosphere when you enter. Carl Jung's profound insights reveal that these behaviors often stem from the other person's own unresolved internal conflicts, their shadow, or unintegrated feelings, not from anything you have done. Understanding these signs empowers you. It is about trusting your intuition and protecting your precious emotional well-being. You have gained a lifetime of wisdom. Use it to discern who truly deserves your energy. Your peace of mind is paramount. Do not spend your golden years trying to win over someone who secretly wishes you ill or questioning your perceptions. Instead, redirect your energy towards relationships that are reciprocal and uplifting. If you recognize these signs, you do not need confrontation. Simply acknowledge the dynamic, understand it is not about you, and adjust your engagement. This might mean setting healthier boundaries, reducing exposure, or choosing people who genuinely uplift you. Your golden years are for living fully, not for navigating hidden resentments. I hope this deep dive has given you valuable insights. If these signs resonated, or you have an experience to share, please leave a comment below. Your stories help others. If this video was helpful, Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss out on more content designed to help you live your best life at every age. Thank you for spending this time with me. Live your best life at every age.